Hey everyone. So, if you guys pretty much know me by now, if there's not really much to say in the title, or if you don't see an introduction to any of these videos, you know this is going to be one of those serious let's talk videos. And today is, I don't want to say the perfect opportunity because it nothing really is perfect, really. But this is another one of those things that we just have to talk about, and I don't think I can talk about this any other way other than like video message form. So, today, according to the bad news from the internet and pretty much everywhere else, um, Glee star Mark Salling was found dead today at the age of 35. According to the news reports, he was found in the river that was by his house. He had committed suicide. And considering what has been happening this month already, this is a very, very sensitive thing to talk about. Like, it's very easy to say that you shouldn't take your own life and stuff like that, but this is a little more difficult for me to talk about because not only was he an actor that was loved by the public for many years, but this was also a guy who also had been waiting for his trial because he was arrested a while back ago for for possessing child pornography in his house, like on his computer or wherever it was. But he was awaiting trial for that, and just as his trial was just around the corner, he took his own life. I really, honestly, did not know how to go by this at first. Like, I've been thinking about this all afternoon to find a way to talk about this professionally, because this is a type of situation where there are a lot of people that could be cheering because this is a guy who clearly was sick enough to possess that type of material, and but thank God he was arrested for it. But then at the same time, though, he was what I considered a person that really needed help, because in my view, even though people who would even dare look at minors like doing anything that they should not be doing, like sexually, is sick. It's wrong. It's completely wrong. And for anyone who thinks that looking at stuff like that is fun, it's actually enjoyable. Like, I think it's disgusting because that is a child that you're looking at, whether they're wearing clothes or not, doing any like sort of sexual favor, or that's meant for sexually pleasing people. It's disgusting. It's disgusting. It's illegal. It should never be allowed on the internet. It should never be allowed in anyone's possession. I'm sorry. At the same time, though, we felt as if, especially with people like these who have only been arrested for just for possessing that child pornography material, like, we know how it usually goes. Like, they're sent to jail, sent to prison or whatever, then they would have to get help right afterwards. And considering that Mark was a guy who had already been famous and he has all the money in the world. Like, we felt like the help would have been like more than possible for him, considering like how much his space was everywhere, and like I said, how much money he could have had or could have used for therapy and other stuff like that. But instead, what happened was that he decided to take his own life, and he thought that there was nothing to live for anymore. Because after you got caught for child porn basically in your house, and at this point I don't really know how this works, but for child pornography, there's no doubt in my mind that he would probably have been put on the list for sex offenders because he possessed that material. Like, the fact that he chose to possess that material without finding out that he had it and then calling the police saying, like, just so you know, I found this on my computer, but I did not look at it. So please don't arrest me by any means. The fact that he was caught basically red-handed, there was not pretty much future that he had. I mean, he was supposed to be in a movie, but ever since he was arrested and when they found out what he was arrested for, they had to basically turn him away because basically, especially everything that's going on in the Hollywood industry, if they found out that you possess material like that, or you even have thoughts of getting sexual gratification from children, who the hell is going to hire you? Like, no sane person would hire you at this point. Like, though we hate to admit it, we had an idea that Mark's career was basically destroyed because of the decision that he made. And overall, I think my main message for this is we shouldn't romanticize this situation. Like, we should not be calling him, like, the good guy, a complete good guy by any means, even though he's done wonderful things in his past. Like, we'll always remember him for the good things. Like, don't get me wrong. But we should not treat this situation as if he was an innocent man who thought everything was over. Like, we all knew what he did. We all knew what he was arrested for. Police found evidence. We all knew. So, we should call the kettle black. We should call it as it is. However, we should not celebrate, or we should not be cheerful and happy, I guess, what I meant to say, about the situation either, because as we've learned earlier this month, like, taking your own life is a very, very serious thing, because once you take it, you can never get it back. Like, it's permanent. It's not temporary. It's final. That, like, soon as you do it, it's the final decision. And it is very depressing to have things like this happen. And unfortunately, this is not the first time that a person who's been arrested for some situation like this had taken their own lives because they felt like it was over for them, like their whole futures was non-existent. And unfortunately, this most likely would not be the last. And it's very, very, very sad. Clearly, Mark was a person that really, really, really needed help. And we all knew what he did was wrong. It was completely heinous. It was completely against what everyone he worked with stood for. And even I have this belief that it was even against what he stood for, but he made the decision to do what he did, and when he was arrested, he had to pay the consequences, and at that point in time, I believe he thought that, yeah, now that this is all out there, now that everyone knows that I'm this sick, twisted person for possessing that material, that they're never gonna see me the same again. So I have no other option but to leave this world without any more ridicule than I am getting right now. And I just want to let you guys know, I am not taking sides. I am not having any position onto whether his death should be like completely celebrated because finally we have like another pedophile or potential pedophile off the street, or oh god, he's an innocent man who was treated unfairly. Because look, we all know what happened. There's no there's no photoshopping, there's no fake news. This legit happened. And I'm just going to treat it as a very tragic situation. It was a tragic, heinous crime that ended also just or even more tragic. And most likely there was nothing we could do about it. Even if we could change the past, I'm not even sure. Like, if we could have prevented Mark from taking his own life, we're not even sure what would have happened later on. And as much as I was a fan of Mark's in the past, like, Glee was my high school go-to TV show. Like, it was my go-to, but then we lost Corey when he died over an overdose. That destroyed me, because he was one of my favorite actors, and having him to die so young was already heartbreaking enough as it was, and now we have another brilliant, talented actor gone from us. All of these things are just downright awful. And if we could change the past, maybe we would in some light. But now that I think about it, if we did have the ability, like, who would it benefit? And for this case, the case that I'm talking about right now, I don't even know. And as I said before, I am not taking sides on what type of death this should be. Like, the only thing that I could say was this was a very, very tragic event, from how the boulder started rolling down until the boulder crashed and broke into a million pieces. So my message, I know I keep repeating this because I'm really lost for words right now, but I'm gonna take one of my high school friends who I used to talk to about Glee all the time. She said, we're not gonna romanticize this situation, but at the same time, we're not gonna celebrate it. Because this was one of those situations that it's just, it was really, really awful. But then again, we are combining all the achievements that he had, but then how they all almost meant nothing when he made the choice that he made. So we are just going to treat this as a tragedy, but we're not going to hopefully not spotlight this too much, because as I said before, Mark had a lot of ridicule as it was the moment it happened, and I'm not sure if what the media is gonna do now, but the fact that he's now gone, he can't tell his story, whether the media is gonna skew it out of proportion or whatever they're gonna do, they're just gonna do whatever they want, and there's nothing we could really do about it. And as I said earlier, this is a really different situation because we already know what happened prior to Mark taking his own life. And whether to defend him or not, it pretty much doesn't matter, really. I mean, this is not like, as much as I hate to bring this up in a video like this was not like we have a clear view on what side someone should be on, like in the Logan Paul case earlier this month. Like, there is no gray area with what Mark did. Like, there is no middle point. Like, it's clear as day, black and white, what went down. And all I can really say, as I said before, is this is just a series of very tragic events that happened to this one person. And if only he had help sooner. If he had some help sooner, maybe this could have gone better. But sadly, that's not much the case here. The lesson we could take from this is think before you act. Because though we have phrases like YOLO or live like you're young and stuff like that, you may be young now, but any bad decision you make is going to affect you in the future. Like, it's gonna stay with you for the rest of your life. So, if you really want to live your life like it's your last, do things that you want to be remembered for. The good things that you want to be remembered for. Like the good person that you want to be remembered for. So I guess that's pretty much it for this. Take what I've said to heart, and remember, like with a situation like this, don't romanticize, but don't celebrate either. I'm Cait, Cher, and it's been real. See you later.